Hello, it's just past 3 in the morning and I've gotta be at work in about 7 hours. So I think I'm gonna go straight to bed. Actually no, we're gonna quickly react to this and then go to bed. Wow, what a consistent show. I didn't have high hopes. Not like I thought it was gonna be bad, but I wasn't impressed by What If. I enjoyed What If, but it was like I wasn't anything special. So a lot about this show, the fact there wasn't much of a returning cast seemed really relevant to the larger MCU universe. I wasn't fussed about it, but I watched it, and it turns out to be one of my favorite recent things because it's consistent and it's strong. It tells a good Spider-Man story. I'll talk a bit about the 3 episodes I've just watched, and then we'll do the full series, and I'll go to bed. Probably not going to take too long. Alexa, volume 0. Okay, well, some key highlights for me. I like the fact that they twist the whole of great responsibility line. Like, we've seen it being done in so many ways, but I'm not sure we've really ever seen it be co-opted by. And let's face it, Osborn is a villain. I mean, maybe he's definitely a proto-villain. I think he's kind of it's been done in adaptations before, where Osborn's appeared as kind of slimy but not villainous appearance, and then the things, bad practices start becoming evident, and then full truth. Where was I going? My point. I can't remember what I was saying now. Blank seeing what I was saying. Sorry. Yeah. It's sorry. So we've twisted the whole of great responsibility element of the mythos and give it to a villain to say. And the fact that the twist is with great responsibility comes great respect, and kind of that whole subversion of what it means essentially here, to the point that it's a thing that Spider-Man has to push back on. So it still ends up in the same place as Spider-Man really coming to grips with their identity, and it's also in this continuity, they've always committed to being a hero when they hear this, but that's true of other Spider-Mans, to be honest. But it's what helps him kind of have that confidence to be his own hero, because he kind of, and it's interesting because he actually accepts it, and he kind of embraces the full, hello Stanley. He kind of embraces the with great power you should be able to demand respect. And actually, we don't really criticize it completely, but Spider-Man accepts that he needs to, that's only an ethos you follow to an extent. But then Osborn kind of says, yeah, you're right, that's the lesson I was teaching in the first place. Not sure if that was him deliberately gaslighting Spider-Man, or if that's something else going on. It's unclear, because we know he's an ambiguous character so far. So not sure what's happening there. But I do like that kind of inversion of the whole phrase of it being kind of applied, kind of being delivered by a villain in what is, the show clearly wants us to realize that this is wrong, that with great power you don't demand respect. It's because obviously the ethos of Spider-Man's responsibility with your power. But it doesn't flat out kind of completely tear that notion down, which I found really interesting. I had a genuine grin on my face. Actually, no. Also, on that episode, on Tangled Web, episode 8, I also during that scene when Osborn's giving a talk, Spider-Man, to Peter Parker, about power. That we're using a high angle camera shot over the shoulder of Osborn, with Peter very much diminished, and that's I like that we're reinforcing kind of the villainous nature of Osborn here as a overbearing, controlling figure, not a supportive figure, because a supportive figure you'd have on an equal level, whereas a controlling figure you have above. So I love that kind of visual language of because camera angles aren't, I mean, maybe they are, maybe I'm being unfair, but I feel like they're easier to forget as a deliberate thing in animation than they are in live action, and so I appreciate that being used in this. So, and then the next episode when Spider-Man basically goes against Scorpion and the Scorpions, or whatever the gang is called. Again, excellent choreography for an animation show as well. I had a grin genuinely on my face during the action sequences and like Spider-Man being heroic because it felt so wholesome, it felt so earned. I always love a good earned heroic moment. That's what superhero content should feel like. Action content should feel like. You should feel heroic and you should feel earned and you should feel like a build up and then a climax. And that's essentially what we get here, and I really love that. I love it wasn't kind of a straightforward fight, but that I like the switch between like Spider-Man clearly being in there, not being incompetent because they're quite a strong superhero, and being able to deal with certain issues with ease, and then having to actually focus on the big, like difficult challenges in this case, Scorpion. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the rematch. I felt it was like nicely balanced, but still kind of got you that sense that Spider-Man's now better than they were before. Obviously, we had the help of Tombstone. I didn't expect us to this quickly, like give Tombstone their powers. I figured they were gonna. It was an Easter egg, and we were kind of gonna visit it in future shows if we ever did. Again, I think I mentioned earlier. This reminds me a lot of the one of the Batman cartoons, where it's a second Clayface, and we know the character for a while as one of the cops before they become a Clayface person. I'm not sure if my scale's right, because back then you watch cartoons, you can't just like drop in and out of things. Because I might be fairly early on in the series, can't remember. But basically, I thought we were gonna get something like that, but actually they've started to like gain their powers now much earlier. But so far, Tombstone seems to be a pretty good guy, but clearly on a path of like corruption, and I do like the way that that's kind of been naturally played out. The fact that they were brought into this gang purely because they want to protect their family. That's still kind of their intention, but now they're seeing kind of the sense of familyhood is quite enticing, and they've had all this expectation burden on them before. It's fairly maturely done, I think. I said before, it's fairly realistic, and I'm kind of enjoying seeing that storyline. Hopefully they still keep doing it justice. And then I did not expect us to end on a predestination paradox plotline, but it turns out, and it's kind of a coda because thematically we kind of like it's almost a coda because thematically we've already completed this Spider-Man's season 1 arc in the previous episode, and there's a slight extra step of that arc that they take in the final episode where they accept that they're ready to be their own hero, and everyone kind of moves into their season 2 positions. I'm going to talk about it in a second, but like we get kind of like this so where are they now moment, or what we're doing now. It's very I can't remember which genre or famous film does this, but I know it's a thing. But yeah, I to be honest, I think I predicted it literally really early on in the episode. I think I predicted it actually when we flashed back in the previously on. We saw sections from that scene, and then I think like about a few scenes in when I realized what we were about to see, I'm like, oh, that's where the alien comes from. That's where Doctor Strange comes from. That's where the Spider-Blood comes from. And then everything I predicted was going to happen happened. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that works. Where I guess if the spider is generating its own venom that makes you into Spider-Man, then you're not kind of like having this perpetual cycle. There's some work being done. But yeah, it's fascinating to think that it's all like this big cycle. And yeah, it's a bold thing. Oh, also, sorry, another thing I'm surprised. So I commented on the last two streams about my surprise, but a welcome surprise, about the willingness to show blood and violence. And the scene where Peter is having a nightmare and he falls down and then suddenly just falls onto Scorpion's spike. Hello, Sarah. Where he suddenly like kind of like falls onto the spike, and it's like this very sickling like crack sound as it goes through his spine. It's like pretty violent for a family-oriented cartoon, so kudos for that. Where was I? Jumping back and forth in the 2 episodes. Yes, so yeah, I called it, and essentially it happens. There isn't too much kind of confusion because everyone's just assuming everyone else is crazy. Like it's a mad world, and where is the baseline for sanity? But Strange appears, the portal opens, Venom, symbiote alien comes through. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange fight them side by side in what is again another cool action sequence, and then everything happens as expected. And that was kind of fun. And then we also got a cameo in a previous episode from Iron Man because he was just called in to rest Otto's activities, which I think is hilarious because I'm expecting it to be like Otto like goes on a run, and then we get to see him like progressively become more of like an actual supervillain because they've got less resources. But no, he walks out of his studio after doing a kind of very much a Dr. Robotic style, beating all the SWAT team to music and using gadgets, just using his intelligence to kind of win the day. And then Iron Man just drops from the sky and is like, "I'm here." And Otto is like, "Well, damn, I guess I'm surrendering then." Like what a way to just like curb stomp an enemy. I don't know if like how they like rank up against each other in like the comics, but considering that Octavius gives Batman a run for the money, and Batman is like one of the strongest superheroes, albeit someone who holds back. Unclear. I like to think that it's probable that Otto could put up some degree of a fight against don't know what happened back there to Iron Man, but I guess we'll never know. And then just Osborn coming down taunting him for like no reason other than like pride. But yes, at the end of last episode, well, I'll just sleep now to wrap up. We kind of get like this like bunch of like character hooks. Interestingly, Richard Parker's not dead. They're in prison. I don't know if they're like, I can't remember now for the life of me if Peter's indicated that he believes that his dad's dead and this is going to be like a secret, or if it's like being left ambiguous and we're all just assuming, but actually now it's revealed that his dad's in prison. Thought it was Ben for a second. I'm like, that's going to be a good twist. Where are they going to go with that? Why would they do that's like really bold? But no, obviously we see I think Nico's comic book name is Wiccan, she's one of the people who uses the name Wiccan, I'm not sure. We see them embracing their power, speak to dead mum, and I think they're probably invoking some degree of what we have already seen in with like the witchcraft stuff, Agatha, or maybe I'm just looking too much into the purple. Obviously we see Daredevil again for a quick scene with I forget her name now, but she plays Menace, his partner, also planning to escape. Osborn's now got the symbiote goo, much like in this PS2 game, so that's probably gonna go somewhere. Uatu gets a cameo. That is interesting, which kind of implies this is all one big what if extended series, but with a different animated style. Uatu just appears in like the night sky watching them. I like it. It's not like no one draws any attention to it. It's just there. That's fine. In fact, I think actually going forward, every single Marvel thing, even the films, there should be like a Uatu Easter egg. Like just in the sky is just Uatu somewhere. That's actually a bad idea. I don't think that would even be disruptive. Do that. It could be a like version of Mickey Mouse. You can have that for free. Although a small credit and like in like perpetual fame would be nice. Yeah. So yeah, I'm falling asleep as I said, and I probably should go to sleep. So we'll end it there. But yeah, generally really, really good show. Like consistent, well animated, Good arcs. No complaints. Get out of my house.